to today's video and welcome to another WWE reaction. For today's video, I will be reacting to 10 AEW stars wasted by WWE. Whew. That must be really hard. Imagine you are like a really upcoming star in AEW and then WWE contacts you and they're like offering you more money or whatever for a period of time and you're like, WWE is more well known or whatever, and then you go there and bam, your career goes downhill. It's all about choices in life, and that's the luck part, to be honest. Like, there is no calculation. You never know what's gonna happen. So it's a luck-based thing if it's gonna work out or not. And for some people, it did. All right, guys, before we go and check out the video, I do upload more videos that are usually blocked or copyrighted on YouTube. So I upload them on my Patreon, patreon.com/supportbunny. If you are interested in more WWE, you can always go and check it out. And I also, whenever I upload a new video, I do post a comment or a post on my channel with a link so you don't miss it out. All right, guys, that is it. Let's go and watch this video, shall we?
It's good to finally have some competition in the wrestling world again. Well, good for the wrestlers and the referees and the production people who earn their living in the business, but maybe not so good for WWE, who were probably happy being the only real game in town and
oh my god, I just realized that this video is by Cultaholic Wrestling. Not me shouting out the channel last time and saying Catholic Wrestling instead of Cultaholic. The amount of comments that I got. Okay, moving on. Moving on.
now have a major player to contend with. While the Wednesday Night Wars are certainly a headache for those in Stamford, Connecticut, the biggest drawback of AEW's existence is that wrestlers now have somewhere else to go. This has led to WWE trying to tie performers down, often with much improved contracts that offer long-term security and much better downside guarantees. Unless a global pandemic happens, of course, in which case all bets are off, but I digress. As much as WWE are keen to hold on to particular talents, it has to be said that they've let many people go in the past who have since gone on to make a major difference in AEW. Whether it was a promising rookie in developmental or the son of a Hall of Famer and would-be WWE lifer, there have been many men and women who have exited the world's biggest sports entertainment vessel after having their potential squandered, only to then realize it for Tony Khan's emerging organization. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 AEW stars wasted by WWE. Join us. Number 10, Lance Archer. Before making it to WWE in 2009, Lance Archer was pretty much a mid-card tag guy in TNA. At various points, he formed teams with Kid Cash, Matt Bentley, and Jimmy Rave, but outside of a couple of tag team title reigns, his time in the Impact Zone had been rather ordinary. So while WWE were not exactly getting an unknown commodity, they were getting someone who hadn't come close to fulfilling their potential. And Archer had everything WWE looks for in their superstars. At almost 7 feet tall and around 270 pounds, Archer had the size and look required to become a player. He milled about in Developmental League FCW before being called up to the ECW brand. Before his debut match, however, Vince McMahon instructed talent relation head John Laurinaitis that Archer, now going by the much more awkward Vance, not Lance for some reason, needed to shave off his braided goatee and cut his hair. The new Archer looked a lot less messy.
No. Although he does look like Ryan Gosling. Is it just me?
And a lot more Bradley Cooper, and didn't find much success on the main roster, essentially floundering for a year, the most memorable thing he did forming a tag team with Kurt Hawkins. By the time his hair had grown back, he was released to little fanfare. He has proven in the years since with his work in New Japan just what he's capable of. AEW clearly see big things in his future and have already put him in several high-profile scenarios and matches. Number 9, Jake Hager.
Also, wait, this video, now I understand the video. It took me 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Listen, now I get it. The title is 10 AEW stars wasted by WWE. Like, now they are stars, but they were wasted back then, right? Okay, let's continue. I'll figure it out.
Jake Hager, like Archer, is another performer who ticked a
Oh
lot
my
of
God.
boxes when it came to what
see
WWE
stuff.
look for in a top talent. The former Jack Swagger had the height, size, and look required, throwing in some impressive amateur credentials that added a further layer of legitimacy to the All-American American. And WWE didn't waste too much time in pushing Hager, who made his television debut a year before the American Psycho. He quickly ascended up the ranks of ECW, which was basically the place to introduce new prospects in this era, amassing an undefeated streak and beating Matt Hardy for the ECW title. It wasn't too long before he turned his attention towards other titles, cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase at pretty much the first opportunity and becoming World Heavyweight Champion.
Brother, if I was watching him wrestling with that outfit, I can't. I feel completely awkward because my eyes like boom, boom. And not like because I'm excited to see it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just because it's there. In my face, it's there. I'm like, it's too obvious, brother, too obvious.
It was quite the rapid rise to the top. After that run came to an end, however, it felt like WWE just lost confidence in him. Yes, he was US champion at one point, and he was in a decent tag team with Cesaro, but the slide down the pecking order was noticeable, and Vince hardly bat an eyelid when he requested his release. Rebuilding his reputation in the MMA world for Bellator, AEW seemed to understand his strengths and have positioned him appropriately as the Inner Circle's dominant enforcer. Number 8, Ty Conti. A one-time Olympic hopeful in judo, Ty Conti came to WWE's attention thanks to her exploits in the martial arts and gymnastics worlds. Not to mention she was young and beautiful and came from Brazil, adding a bit of exotic flair and I'm sure piquing the interests of those in the company who were always on the lookout for that next big Latin American star. With no previous experience in pro wrestling, she reported to the WWE Performance Center in October of 2016. And as she learned more and more, she found herself getting new opportunities, whether it was competing in the Mae Young Classic tournament or getting a spot in the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania. However, that wasn't enough for the ambitious Conti, who found herself frustrated with a lack of growth and felt like it was time to move on. Requests for a release were denied until WWE decided to drop her and many other contracted performers at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. WWE's loss appears to be AEW's gain, as the fledgling group acquired the services of the Brazilian in September of 2020. She's already turned heads with her tag team with Anna Jay, and still in her mid-20s, will likely be a big part of the growing AEW women's scene for some time to come. Number 7, Col Cabana. Like many of his time, Col Cabana built his reputation on the international and American independent scenes before he got a call from WWE. Whether it was in Japan, Europe, or for cutting-edge promotions like early days Ring of Honor, Cabana typically entertained with his mix of styles and penchant for incorporating comedy into his acts. An occasional enhancement worker for WWE, Cabana signed for the sports entertainment juggernaut in 2007 and was assigned to Ohio Valley and then Florida Championship Wrestling, where he waited and waited and waited to finally be called up to the main roster after over a year fine-tuning his skills in developmental. And what a debut it was! Interfering in the first ever Hell in a Cell match and costing The Undertaker the... Wait, no, hold on a second. That was Kane, wasn't it? I always get those two mixed up. No, Cabana, as Scotty Goldman, no doubt picked from the random Jewish name generator, easily lost his debut match in a few short minutes to the Brian Kendrick. Surprisingly, it was all downhill from there, and he was released after just a handful of minor appearances. AEW seemed to recognize Cabana's worth as a well-traveled veteran, and it's certainly nice to see the world of sport enthusiasts get an opportunity to properly shine on a global stage. Number 6, Luchasaurus. Alright, so we're back to big young guys with...
He's the one that is fighting Adam Copeland now. Like the first fight of Adam Copeland going to AEW was against him while Chris was sitting and watching. Did you see that? That was actually the latest video that I uploaded on my Patreon.
Marketable looks now, as WWE let another one slip away when they said goodbye to Luchasaurus in 2014. Not that he was working as the wrestling dinosaur at that point, though. In fact, you have to think that if he was doing the gimmick back then, Vince & Co. would sooner sign him to a 10-year deal than give up the millions in potential merchandise revenue such a PG-friendly guys could generate. No, he was working as Judas Devlin and essentially blended into the crowd of other hopefuls in developmental. Not that his stay was without controversy, mind you. Devlin Devlin was released while recovering from a major hip injury and was one of those who spoke out against disgraced former coach Bill DeMott, earning him the ire of some in the business. He didn't stand around lamenting it though, getting back on the horse, or in this case, joining the Big Brother house, before showing up in Lucha Underground as Vibora. The creation of the Luchasaurus character has given his career a new lease on life, with guest spots in Ring of Honor and Impact leading him to AEW, where he forms a lovable and very popular trio with Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy. Number 5, Pac.
Lovable?
Speaking of lovable, welcome to the
What do you mean lovable? He was the bad guy. Adam was the good guy now. What do you mean? That's a different timeline, brother. When was this video? 2 years ago. Different timeline.
Act opposite. Pac, as Neville, had a commendable WWE career, winning the NXT and Cruiserweight titles during his time there, but on the whole, you have to say that the company really dropped the ball with him. And the bastard knew it, famously walking out of the company before a Raw taping in late 2017. A major sin in the wrestling business, the Geordie's decision to walk out reportedly got Vince more than a little hot under the collar, but the high flyer's mind was made up. He was then forced to sit and wait for the best part of a year while his contract situation was sorted out. He returned to action for Dragon Gate in Japan, but made headlines when he emerged as a major signee during AEW's inaugural rally, notably coming out in full gear. Well, I suppose it's better than the tracksuit, Lonsdale trainers and baseball cap that everyone else in Newcastle seems to wear. Since then, the Master of the Black Arrow has been presented as one of All Elite's biggest stars, getting
look at this other guy actually biting the ear.
Victories over the likes of Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Considering his astonishing athleticism and massive improvements to his character and promo game in recent years, it really is criminal that WWE had Pac slumming it on 205 Live with dickheads like Enzo. Number 4, Serena Dee. One of the great surprises in AEW of late is the re-emergence of Serena Dee, who has finally been given the opportunity to show just what she can do on the big stage. Dee had around 7 years of worldwide experience when she showed up on WWE television in 2010, portraying a fan who was plucked from the audience and initiated into CM Punk's straight edge society, including having her head shaved in the ring for the angle. She became a full-time member of the stable, but, and this could only really happen in wrestling, was released several months later for supposedly not living the gimmick and adhering to a substance-free lifestyle. Serena
Imagine you shave your head and for a career that you lose before your hair grows. Painful. Painful.
Spent the following half-decade working the indies and wrestling internationally, but by 2015 had decided to semi-retire. WWE came calling for the Mae Young Classic in 2017, and clearly impressed by what they saw, signed her to become a full-time coach at the Performance Center. Based on her prior firing, I'm almost certain she wasn't teaching Kayfabe 101. Sadly, Serena was another who was let go due to the COVID cutbacks, but has since been hired by AEW, and even got a win over Thunder Rosa on Dynamite, retaining her NWA Women's title in the process. Number 3, FTR. There's something to be said for those that take creative and professional satisfaction over large sums of money. And that something is, of course, gee, what kind of candy-ass Mark would do that? I'd definitely take the money, losers. In all seriousness, there's something commendable about FTR being more concerned with mastering their craft and leaving a legacy in tag team wrestling ahead of how many zeros they can get on a paycheck. Because Dax and Cash, as they're now known, were offered a substantial sum to re-sign with WWE before opting to try their luck elsewhere. Their main reason for leaving was dissatisfaction with not just their position in WWE, but the overall state of tag team wrestling. Because it doesn't matter how many awesome duos WWE has on their roster, Vince McMahon and other higher-ups simply aren't fans and would rather invest their attention and money in creating singles stars and promoting singles feuds. The revival, as they
I personally like the single stars more than tag team. Is that what it's called? I don't know a lot about tag team right now, okay? I still am learning. But in my opinion, currently, which can change eventually, I think that it's more important to have single stars because the impact of single stars throughout the storyline and on the ring can carry on longer. With team tag, I lose it. Like, I don't know who's doing what. There is no one highlight, there is multiple, but because there is multiple, none of them are as impactful. And I don't know how to really explain it, but it's like you divide epicness on like, what, 8, 10 people, instead of having it on two major people, and then if you are literally on the side of the winner, it's like one winner, one force. I don't know how to explain it. Do you get me? Do you understand what I mean?
Once known understood this, and it became rather evident when the creative staff proposed some ludicrous new gimmicks, so they said goodbye to Titan Towers. Angling for a match with the Young Bucks for what seemed like an age, FTR ended up in AEW where they finally got their match. Already one-time AEW Tag Team Champions, you have to figure that Dax and Cash will be a staple in the company for some time to come. Number 2, Kenny Omega. Had Kenny Omega entered the WWE developmental system at a different time, the
isn't
history...
Kenny the guy that I reacted to the previous... Oh, maybe you haven't seen the video yet. But I think this is the guy who ended up in Japan fighting with another Japanese wrestler for a while before making his whole comeback to a solo player.
Of pro wrestling could have been very different indeed. Unfortunately for Omega, and WWE as it turns out, he reported for training to Deep South Wrestling in the dark days of 2005. Deep South was a notoriously antiquated facility run by Bill DeMott, who was more interested in running wrestlers into the ground than he was trying to build them into superstars.
Oh, no.
Tired of getting his head kicked in and clashing with his tyrannical trainers, Omega opted to leave Deep South after less than a year and has since publicly criticized his time there. The Best Bout Machine wasn't hurting for bookings and soon got to work wrestling throughout the world, building his reputation on the independent scene and particularly in Japan.
Yes,
Dave Meltzer's
him.
favorite wrestler became a legend in New Japan thanks to his string of 5, 6, 7, and 23-star matches. WWE were watching and repeatedly approached the cleaner with offers, only to be rebuffed each time. Perhaps Kenny knew that he, along with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, would one day soon be helping oversee what eventually became AEW. As an EVP and now the company's top star, there's pretty much no chance we'll ever get to see Omega wrestle in a WWE ring. So
he's
you
the
can
top
forget about that
star?
Baron Corbin dream match. Sorry. Number 1, Cody Rhodes. By rights, Cody Rhodes could have and perhaps should have been a solidified member of the main event club, a WWE champion, and someone the company could build around for years and years to come. He certainly had the ability, charisma, experience, and legacy to do so, but he wasn't helped by apathetic booking and a gimmick change that could have been a career killer. At one point, WWE were clearly prepping him for big things,
Looks like a
partnering him and
younger
another hot
Randy.
prospect up with Randy Orton before making him the Intercontinental Champion. Over the ensuing years, the grandson of a plumber often threatened to grab the brass ring before it was inevitably
Mario?
yanked from out of his reach. His descent down the card culminated with a Turner's Stardust, a character that would never be pushed as anything other than a mid-card act, at best. So disappointed with his career regression was Cody that he publicly asked for and
Wait, Hyrule Husky, I'll speak for... Wait, the past 10 years have been quite the trek, but as of earlier today, I have asked for my release from WWE. I will speak further on the matter shortly. Thank you to all the pro wrestling sports entertainment fans worldwide. Thank you.
granted a release from his contract, taking to the indie scene with gusto and impressing everyone with his conduct and performances. Like Omega, Cody is now an EVP and top star with AEW,
really?
where he has
he's
much
the
more
blonde
creative
guy
input
now.
and is finally showing WWE just what the man in the face paint and bodysuit could do when given the opportunity.
Yeah.
With an apparent desire to get into politics after he hangs up his boots, odds are that the American Nightmare has already wrestled his last WWE match.
Oh my goodness, this was fun. And the more fun part about this video is me finally knowing the names of some of these wrestlers that are not like top tier in my world. And when I say in my world, is the world of people who were non-WWE fans and slowly transitioned into becoming fans. You know, like, I don't know a lot about this. And the fact that now I can guess and see and connect and relate, makes me so happy. Maybe, who knows, maybe in the future I'll be such a pro and then like I will make these videos where I talk about shit like this, you know, where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, in 1998 this shit happened and the blah 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 and the blah blah blah, you know, yeah, I know stuff. That is it for today's video. I should stop blabbling. When I start, I never finish. If you want to see more of that without me actually finishing and just blabbling, then you should join my live streams because there is no cutting there. There should be though. It's illegal. It's illegal for my brain to keep speaking. Okay, that is it, guys. That's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like it, to support the channel, and check out my Patreon, patreon.com/supportbunny for more WWE content. Have a wonderful day. I love your faces, and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. I had to do this real quick because I'm sorry I'm wasting your time. See ya. Bye.